How do you accelerate your growth? I think most men would love, and particularly this modern day and age, we want to fast track everything. So today we're going to talk about how to accelerate the growth in whatever area you want. So make sure you listen to the end of this, because you're going to get all the value is going to be, man, in how do you do this? How do we take action? How do we set things up, okay? So I'm excited that you're here, that you're listening. I would always suggest, particularly when you listen to a lot of my stuff, grab a pad and pen. If you're like me, take notes, because you're going to want to go back afterwards. So, you know, there was a couple of times early in my life where I had a massive acceleration in certain areas. And I remember when I was younger, when I was 15, and you know, kind of school didn't work out, but I was able to get my head around. My dad's is a business owner, and so I understood money a little bit, how to get going and maximize things. So how do I? 15, bought my first bit of real estate, my first block of land, worked a couple of jobs, catching chickens, working on a building site, and whatever it took, accelerated and owned that block of land 2.5 years later. Amazing. But there was a couple of little flaws that I eventually blew out. It was not sustainable. And then I actually ended up in a 12-step program and realized, man, this is my second chance. So it was a little while later after I started to get my head together, and I started to see people that were really what I deemed as successful, and then other people who just weren't going the distance. They just couldn't get it together. And I knew who I wanted to be, you know. So there was a dream in my heart. There was things I wanted to do. So I started to notice some things. But particularly, I noticed one point where there was I was boxing. I'd been fighting on Fox Sports. I had some great opportunities, and I took them. But there were certain things that were not happening well. And I remember I had a good mate. He was a mentor at the time, and Jerry Hogan, his name was. He's passed now, late Jerry Hogan, and just a real old school fella, you know. And I remember getting an opportunity to go and train with what I deemed as, they were like the best fighters in my area. And I got an opportunity to go and spar with them. So I went and sparred with them, did all right. And anyway, they invited me to come and train with them full time, like be a part of the camp. And I was like, whoa, you know, like hang on. And I remember talking to Jerry, and this is a good indicator of where I was at. I said to him, oh, he's got these opportunities, like this is amazing, you know. And he goes, you're going to do it, eh? And I went, I don't know. He goes, why not? And I said, because I don't know if I can train as hard as they can. I don't know if I can do it. So, I mean, my confidence obviously was low. My self-belief, self-worth maybe, was obviously low, you know. So, but he sort of said, what he said to me, he said, you can do it, son. You know, I was like younger, he was older. He goes, you can do it, son. You can. I go, his belief had just got me there. And of course, there was a great trainer, Ray Giles, and he started just really speaking into my life, and he noticed my life, you know. And I remember, you know, kind of around that time, whereas, whoa, hang on, we're having a baby now. Goodness, but I've got to pull my finger out. I've got to make some stuff happen. I've got to earn some money, man. You know, because another thing that happened just prior to that, I remember, you know, me and my wife having to get food vouchers. You know, then we're having a baby. Then like, oh man, I wasn't sure what to do. You know, I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know what to start. Anyway, so I started training with Ray, and I started training with some really good fighters, and just seeing the order. And that's what this really video is about. It's about, you want to accelerate your growth, the first thing you need is order. You need things in order. There needs to be systems. You need, like I said, when I was earlier, I had some great success, purchasing a block of land, paying off, but I blew out, you know. But then when I realised, you know, when I was training with those fellas, you know, I realised, well, what happened, one of the first things that happened to me was Ray, and he could notice it. He could notice it, you know, that my mindset was not there. My self-belief wasn't there. So he got me to read this book, okay? It was called The Edge. And basically what it was 500 successful people. And I'm talking about scientists, athletes, business owners, entrepreneurs, like you name it. There was 500 different people from around the world. They were world changers. Ray got me a job, so I needed to earn some money, you know. So I'd start my day, I'd go for a run, I'd go for a walk, I'd get in the right state mentally, okay? Then what I'd do, I'd go and wash cars. I'd go and wash cars for 4 hours. He got me a job in a car yard washing cars, all right? So I'd go and wash cars, all right? So I'd earn a bit of coin there. Then this is where it got exciting for me. I'd come home from work, I'd see my wife, you know, she'd have a cooked lunch there. That was all sorted from a dietitian, you know, she'd have a cooked lunch. I'd have a sleep. I'm a kept man. I'd have a sleep, I'd get up and I'd read that book. I'd read The Edge. I'd get in the right state mentally. I was a world changer. I'd get to the gym. It was only a couple of kilometres away. I'd get to the gym about 30 minutes early and I'd be stretching. I was in the zone, you know. So by the time the other fighters come out, I was ready. You know. And I'd do another warm up with those guys, and then I'd train and I pushed hard. Right, had massive growth in that area. And of course, each day there was a different session. You know, it was always something different, and always around growing. There'd be sparring sessions. But anyway, I'd get home, and the system was I'd have to unwind. Okay, I'd have some banana trees. I had vegetables, and I'd start watering the plants before I went inside. And I'd just debrief, wind down. Talk to a neighbour. Wayne Morris, I still love him, man. He's an amazing guy. I remember the conversations, and just unwind. Okay, and that was a great system for me, and the growth, and what happened was the growth started to really happen, and I'll tell you what was really happening, because I was weak mentally. I was mentally soft. I was mentally weak. Remember I talked to Jerry, I don't think I can do it. Well, I started to build a system, started to get some order. So mentally, you know, and reading that book, you know, and really asking myself these questions. Man, what, you know, like, am I enough? Am I good enough? And I was very fortunate to have a couple of other men in the 12-step program really start to help me, and some other men start to show me the concept behind a rite of passage, behind the initiation, the validation process, you know. And of course, that system, it really provided that order, really provided me, you know, physically to rest, to get 8 hours sleep, so I could push myself to maximum, so I could have that maximum growth. But then I would sleep again. You know, I'd have that time. You know, that dietitian took care of me. Well, my wife and me would go and see a dietitian every 30 days or whatever the next fight was, whatever the weight I needed to be. So there was a tremendous amount of order around weight, around energy, about what I was putting in, so what I could push out. You know, obviously around the sleep, but really, you know, like that emotional side of things, you know, around those rite of passage, around setting targets and goals and sticking to them. You know, one of the worst things that I've seen is men say one thing and then do another. Whereas this, man, to strengthen myself emotionally, I was setting goals, targets, setting things up so that plan B was not an option. I created oaths to actually live by, creeds to actually live by. So by doing that over a long period of time, having some massive growth, emotionally I got stronger. And of course, you know, self-belief, and this is like the fourth thing, you know, self-belief, man. You know, there was a couple of things that happened in my, you know, growing up. There was a couple of things that happened in my early 20s. Well, you know, still growing. I'm still growing up now, but there's a really, I suppose, an identity questions. You know, there was some inner world, some self-belief. You're like, where did I come from? Why am I here? You know, what do I actually believe? You know, there were some things that happened to me that no man could do. That it was spiritual, you know. And I didn't even know what that was really, but I knew there was something supernatural happening. I knew it wasn't an accident what had happened to me. I knew there was a purpose behind what I was doing. I knew I was on mission, you know. And of course, particularly when you, you know, it's a bit like, you know, I mean, boxing is one thing, but we can really, this is a bigger scale. Like, what am I actually fighting for? This masculine journey is a fight. If you think you're not in a fight, you're going to get taken out. You're going to get talked out of your purpose, your mission. You're going to have to know what you are fighting for in order to go the distance. You know, that's the bottom line. So I mean, you know, to really bring all that together, if I can. You know, to have massive growth in whatever area you would like to have massive growth, whatever it is you call success, you need to have order. You need to have order, you know, around your health, around your emotional health, you know, around your relationships. You need to know why you're doing what you're doing. You know, you really need that physical. You know, so many men, particularly when it comes to business, they put everything into their business and leave themselves out. And man, if you're not putting out maximum energy, man, you are not going to get results. You know, one of the key things that I love about certain people, you know, and Grant Cardone, he's one of the guys. Some of the things I love what he does, you know, but he's got this book, Be Obsessed or Average. And that's one thing that to really have that order and be obsessed about whatever it is that is in you. You know, it's got to be an obsession, but you've got to go the distance so that you have that downtime. As I talked about, come home from training to push maximum out, come home, I'd water the vegetables garden. You know, I would debrief, man. I would sleep well. My nutrition was well. You know, I was fulfilling on my commitments as a father, you know, as a husband. You know, there was order. So man, I don't know where you're at. I don't know what you're doing, but I believe if you can focus on those things, man, those four things, I guarantee you will maximize your growth. You'll accelerate your growth. Whatever it is, you get order in those areas, you're going to have a good life. Over and out.